It's nap time.
Hey, what's going out there, people? How y'all doing again? Once again, thank you all for tuning in to our podcast, Conversations at Nap Time, okay? I am your host, Desmond Peacock, and I'm here with the lovely co-host, my wife, Jerica Peacock. Just give you a little foundation of our podcast. Conversations at Nap Time is pretty much, hey, we're parents, okay? Husband and wife, we're parents, but our kids go to sleep at certain times throughout the day, and we have conversations during that time frame. Why? Because the kids are asleep and we're able to reconnect. And so we're doing some little adulting, having the little adults conversations here and there, okay? But we decided to bring you in on our world, okay, and the things that we conversate, because we're pretty sure that we know that the same things that we talk about and some of the same things that we deal with may be some of the same stuff that you all are dealing with out there, okay? First of all, we want to thank everyone who liked and subscribed to our podcast, our YouTube channel, who watched the first episode. The love is pretty much overwhelming right now. We thank you all for participating and taking time out your busy schedule. But we are in episode 2, okay? Episode 2. Now, episode 1, what did we talk about?
We talked about friends and family and how we find balance in it, and also talked about how we feel separately on how it is to be a parent.
Okay, yeah, we talked about what it is to be a mom and dad, all right? And then our last topic we talked about was how do we find balance. Now, in the balance, we talked about finding balance with family and friends. But now we're going to do part 2 of our part 1, which was finding balance. We're going to talk about what it feels like to find, how do we find balance with romance and personal time, okay? Because like I said, we're parents of 4, okay? And we know that our kids demand more time than we have to give, okay? But how do we find that balance when it comes down to our personal time and our romance to one another, okay? So without further ado, because I've done too much talking already, yes. I'm gonna let my wife talk about how she feels about that particular aspect from her end. Go ahead, babe.
Well, I'm gonna start with personal time. Personal time is something that we really don't expound on, simply because we both have busy schedules. Mine is mainly with the kids 24/7 while Desmond is at work and then coming home, working on ministry or whatever he has going on with the community. So personal time is something that we have to work on.
Right.
And like you said in the last video.
Episode 1. Our first video.
No, like the first one before we post that.
Oh, the practice videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones that we should have really posted.
Yeah, we did like 4 or 5 practice videos before the actual episode. So yeah, we did a lot. Like that was some good conversation.
Anyways, but it's not posted, so deleted or something. Anyways, but
trial and error.
You promised me.
What I promised you?
That I'll have my 1 hour of free time, my personal time. Remember? Because we need to incorporate that more, babe. Remember that? I do. And I think we still got a record of that. Anyways.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's recorded.
Well, you know what? Everybody sees it now, and it's recorded. And I will give you your 1 hour.
I can't even explain.
No, because you'll go too much into explanations.
All right, so pretty much bottom line.
We will do personal time, and we need to do personal time because we all have hectic schedules, and our mind, even now with this quarantine, our minds are going crazy because it's always sit down, don't do that, eat your food. No, don't do that. Don't put your sister in a headlock, Junior. Stop crying. No, it's constantly like I can say it that fast because it's really happening that fast.
Right.
But we all need personal time. We all need that alone space or even intimate time like how we're having right now with each other.
Right. Absolutely.
I even count that as personal time.
Yeah.
Whether it's, me and you, whether it's by ourselves, whether it's in our room or out going somewhere, which we can't right now.
Right.
But it's something that we need to incorporate in the marriage because even when the kids are grown and gone, it's just still going to be me and you. And if we don't know who we are because we didn't have that personal time, that's going to be an issue and we'll start butting heads.
So how do you find that balance? So you pretty much you talked about the importance of it. And so it's very, very important to find the time to do it because you mentioned you don't want to get lost in being a parent. You don't want to get lost in your children because your children are going to, or in your job because, you don't know if that job will be there forever, you know, or your children will grow old. You know, they're going to be 18, 19, 20, 21. They're going to move out. And it's just going to be you and your wife. So we know that's important. But how do you find the balance in that?
It takes us. It takes us making it a priority.
It takes us making it a priority.
Like, is my personal time to you important to you?
Of course.
All right.
It's
so
important to me. But is my personal time...
Do you not watch your movies?
Okay, yes.
No. What you decide to do on your personal time is what you decide to do. If you watch the whole movie, you can't get another hour or doing what you want to do.
Okay, but see, some of your personal time be going to get your nails done, and you there for like 2 or 3 hours.
Do you want me to rush the nail tech?
No, but
if
you talked about I'm just gonna give you an hour, then you need to take that hour.
A movie is 2 hours,
but
2.5 hours. And if you want a Transformer movie, that's 3.
But you never vowed how much time you gonna give me on personal time.
Well, how much time do you want, babe?
Well, I mean, we can.
How much time do you want?
No, we can.
No, let's go ahead.
Nah, chill. So
all right, so don't throw that in there.
We getting on topic. Go ahead. So, how do we find balance?
Priority. We gotta make it a priority. Like how I put things in my phone, which now you are a part of because we're on this like family sharing thing on our iPhones.
Right.
I actually put down things that I have to do and things that I want to do as a priority. Like I put down because you said I do too much.
Yes. Yo.
We're not getting into that's not even a subject right now.
All right. We're gonna
but like I was saying, like how I put things in my calendar. When it comes down to being busy with the kids because I'm a stay-at-home mom and just being a mom or a wife in general in here.
Right.
I put on my clock a 7:30 alarm. So if it hits 7:30, mommy clocks out. Wifey clocks out. Don't ask crap from me.
Right.
No. Like dishes aren't gonna be done if it's not done by 7:30. I'm not gonna sweep. I'm not gonna mop. I'm not gonna braid no hair. I'm not gonna give no bath. Like you. It's
right.
straight bedtime, prayer time, bedtime.
Right.
Like I'm not doing anything else after that.
Right.
So just how I make that a priority to stop working and just, digress, we need to make it a priority to put personal time. So whether it takes once a week or every other day, we are like, okay, babe, I need some personal time. It's in the calendar.
Right.
You got a heads up.
Right.
So get your mind right because you watching the kids. And I'm just going to do whatever I want.
But see, now you talked about personal time, but you brought up 2 different things. So
like
you said, 7:30 was the time that you pretty much you clock out, right?
It was an example.
An example, right.
Yeah.
It's an example, but I think that falls on the lines of the romance part of our balance because we decided that we're moving so fast, we're doing so much, and we miss each other because we don't get lost in everything else, but it's just that the days go by so fast that we miss each other.
Yeah.
So that 7:30 clock out, we decided that would be our time. Like we stopped doing, like if I'm taking college courses, I'm stopping with my college classes. If you're on the phone, you get off the phone, or if we're watching. If we're doing something with the kids, like we made it a pact that everything that we supposed to be doing, like cleaning the house and all that other stuff that makes us busy throughout the day, we clock out at 7:30 because now that's either gonna be family time, romance time because the kids are bathed and they're in the bed, or it's gonna be You're right. So it could be your personal time because you could be in the bedroom doing what you want to do, and I could be in the living room doing what I want to do.
Yes.
But we made that time frame a clock out. So I would encourage y'all, those that are out there, especially if y'all are looking for that time, think of a time frame throughout the day, because I know it was said to me a long time ago that you make time for what you want. You make time for what you want. So in making time for what you want and wanting to find that balance, the biggest thing that I would say is you got to pick that time within the day where you literally just stop whatever you feel is important at that time and you start concentrating on what's more important. And what's more important as us being husband and wife is us. Now that we've taken care of everything else in the house, we've taken care of our families, we've taken care of our children, we've taken care of ministry. Ministry is like a 24/7 thing because we could be ministering to each other
Yes.
During that time that we're clocking out, God just does things however He wants to do them. But when we actually find that time frame where we can set aside and say, you know what, this is time for us in regards to whatever we want to do. So we encourage you all, when you try to find that balance, pick a time where you clock out. And it don't have to be at 7:30.
Maybe at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
It can be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Exactly. It can be an hour a day, just you and your wife, or you yourself, because not
That's
everybody
romance,
is married.
Because now you switched it up to romance.
No, but I said at that time it could be either romance or personal time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It can be either romance or personal time.
I clocked out apparently.
Nah, not yet. Not yet. You ain't clocked out yet. Alright, so so we talked about that balance, and we talked about so we talked about the personal time and balance, but let's focus more on the romance piece, because it's easy for us to find personal time. It's easy for you to tell me, hey, can watch the kids? I'm about to do me for a couple hours. Or I can say, babe, can I watch a movie tonight? After the girls are asleep and Junior's asleep or whatnot, can I go out and watch a movie or whatnot? You say, cool. But what about that romance time? Like, how do we find balance to keep the fire and the spice in our marriage?
Now, are you talking about intimacy? Because there's different.
Well, I mean,
definitions
we
of
talking
intimacy.
about romance. So romance is a part of intimacy. I mean, intimacy is a part of romance.
That's us hanging out together. It could be that, or it could be if he have a special need that he wants.
Giggity.
Stop it. You're not Quagmire. Anyways.
Giggity goo.
Anyways, and I don't necessarily catch it because I'm not in that headspace. We made an agreement that if he or I have that desire, that we light a candle in the bedroom.
Giggity goo.
If that candle has not been blown out, then apparently, we need to do something.
Right.
But we at least know that, hey, don't forget about me, type thing.
Right.
Not just that, but it doesn't even have to be in sexual type form.
Right.
It could just be like, hey, can you just cuddle with me? Can you just lay in the bed with me? Can you stop watching TV? Or can we just stop being on our phone and just lay down and talk?
Right.
Sometimes I think it really took this podcast for us to have these type of conversations, because usually we're on our phones and we're like, hey, look at this. Man. And then we're back on it, on our phone and be like, hey, let's look at this again. Ha ha ha. And that would be our conversations. I got tired of having that conversation. I wanted, more in-depth conversations. And I guess we're having that with you all, because we're doing this podcast.
Right.
So welcome to our conversations.
Right. Somebody said this when I was in the military, and we used to have classes, and we wanted people to cut their cell phones off. We would make the comment, this is the weapon of mass distraction. Okay. And what we mean by that is very convenient in lots of ways, but it can also be a master of distraction. So we can sit there and say we're having quality time, but like she said, she's on her phone, she's scrolling, I'm on my phone, I'm scrolling, and before you know it, we spent hours on our phone, but there really was no content or conversation. So, and that was actually one of her complaints. And when she complained about it, she actually came up with a solution, because she knew that, she can be there and she can be doing it as well. So she said, babe, let's just put our phones down, and let's have a talk, let's talk about stuff. And it took me a while. It took me a while, because in the beginning, I was a part of a business, and social media was like my outlet. Social media was my plug into my business, and that's how I reached out to people. So there would be times I would be on my phone for hours on end, just to try to get my business off the ground and keep it moving. And then that was time I took away from her. That was time I took away from the kids. And so I had to come to grips with understanding that, yeah, this right here can be definitely convenient in lots of ways, and it can boost, my business. It can boost the podcast. It can boost what we're doing. But if I don't understand what my priorities are, and if I don't put my priorities in a listing where this phone isn't as important as my wife and my kids are way more important than my phone, put it down. If I don't get that, then I'm gonna lose it. And I'm 9 times out of 10, I won't lose the phone, because it's gonna be my phone, but I'm gonna lose my family, and that's not something I'm prepared to lose. So I I had to take my pride aside, and I had to say, okay, well, babe, you know what, you're right. Let's do it right. Then you know what do you want to do during this time? We had to put our phones down.
You know what I enjoyed most about the vacations that we used to go on was when we went to Dominican Republic or what is it called, Mexico or whatever we went to.
Right.
We was in a resort that you could not use your phone.
Yeah.
And so all we used our phone was literally to take pictures and take pictures of each other. So and then we had to put it down. We had to really interact.
Right.
We had to get to know each other. And I will always love our honeymoon. And then after our honeymoon, we started going on more vacations like that because that's how we got closer. When we stopped taking those vacations, when we realized, okay, we ain't doing that, let me get my phone.
Right.
And that would entertain me. And then we stopped that connection. And now this is picking it back up.
Wow, that's amazing. So we talked about that. Now we're gonna move on to our next topic, okay? And while we move on to my next topic, I want you to kind of expound on what you just talked about when it dealt with pride. So expound on you thinking about how you liken how we're moving into this podcast and what it's doing for us. Expound on that first, and then I'll move on to the next topic.
Well, this podcast is really something, if I'm completely honest, because I'm going to be very transparent with you.
Please do.
I do not want to do this at all. I actually was against me doing it all the way and like, you do it. Like, I'll buy you all the equipment you want, everything that you need, but do not put me on it.
I mean, she even set up the spot. Like she
really
set up everything, and she didn't want to be a part of it.
Of course not.
Friends, family, was saying.
Like this.
Yeah.
I don't like talking. I don't like people hearing me. I don't like being. I don't like being seen.
You see, like.
I don't.
She don't look like she don't like it.
I don't like. I am okay.
She thinks she's an introvert.
I am
introvert, but she's not.
This is actually not just helping our marriage. It's actually helping me personally because I don't like to talk. I don't like being in front of people. And even with it just being a camera looking at me.
Right.
I know people are going to look at this and it's terrifying me. But this is actually helping me because Lady Latrillo actually wants me to join the praise team. And I'm like, no, I can't be on her microphone. Everybody's going to look at me. They're going to hear me.
Hold up. And we talk about Layla Trilla. Before we even move forward, got to give a shout out to the Bridge Church of Alabama, 315 2nd Avenue in Opelika, Alabama. Our senior pastor, Pastor Terrence Nolan, and his lovely wife, First Lady Latrilla Nolan. Okay, the woman she just talked about. Listen, if you are looking for a church, you're looking for a place to go where you can just be free and worship God without having to be constricted. Yes. Without really come as you are, just relax and get a great word and then be loved on at the same token. Bridge Church of Alabama is where you need to be. 315 2nd Avenue in Opelika, Alabama. Services are at 11 o'clock and Bible studies are at, 6:30. We do prayer and then we what is it? Yeah, Central Standard Time. That's the thing, okay? Our Bible studies are awesome, but if you're looking for a place to go for service, please meet us at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time on Sundays.
When the coronavirus is over.
Yeah, when this but they are launching, okay? They got a Facebook Live page, Bridge Church of Alabama Facebook, and we got our YouTube out there. So I had to give that plug. Give that plug
every time.
Every single time.
Let me do you want me to name all the bridge?
No, it's fine. We can go back because you talked about First Lady Trilla, so I had to bring it up.
Anyways, like I was saying,
I had to bring
she wanted to sing on the praise team, and I'm like, oh my God, no, I can't do it. I was like, can I just do a practice so I could just hear how I like, my sound? And Desmond was like, no, you just got to jump in and do it. And I'm like, no. And this is what he's making me do. I'm jumping in, and I have to do it.
Episode 2, she's still here.
Anyway,
she's still alive.
Y'all know about
and you can actually tell the difference between episode 1 and episode 2. How lively she is right now. You can tell it. I
think it's because I can't see myself.
And I think but now we're moving on to our next topic. Okay?
Pride.
We're gonna talk about pride. Okay. When we talk about pride, we're gonna talk about pride in lots of ways.
Yes.
But the first place we're gonna talk about pride is in our marriage. Okay, is it a good thing to have pride? Is it a bad thing to have pride? And if it's and when do we need to set our pride aside?
I feel like it. I'm gonna be using my kids a lot because they my kids.
Okay, you transparent. Why not?
If Izzy or Melanie, if Melanie slapped her sister and Izzy bit her sister, vice versa, because that's what happened like 3 days ago.
Yo,
our
daughter
not.
Melanie, yo.
Stop it. Anyways, we're not doing that because Melanie's another topic.
Yo.
Shh, stop. Anyways, but if I can't concentrate.
Sorry.
Anyways, Melanie and Izzy would fight.
Yes.
And I would make them say sorry to your sister. Sorry, Melanie. Sorry, Izzy. And I'm like, okay, now hug each other, love each other, right? To get it over with. But when it comes down to us in our marriage, how many times do you catch yourself apologizing first? He apologizes all the time.
All
Why?
the time.
Because
all the time.
Because my pride is there.
Even when it's not my fault.
No, 98% of the time it is your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry. 92.
What?
92.
92?
Yeah.
You bugging. Get out of here. Now you bugging. You bugging.
92.
92. Get out of here. You bugging.
Okay, do you want to do like 70-30?
Nah.
Now you know.
Nah.
Now you know.
It is not always. You make it seem it's always my fault.
It's always your fault.
Nah, we're gonna leave that alone. That's another episode.
Let's talk about pride. Anyways, like I was saying, it is hard for us as, marriage or someone that we love or just ourselves to admit when we are wrong, to admit that, we shouldn't have done that, to admit, to another person, not just to ourselves, because we're like, man, Jeffrey, you sure did mess up. Like, you shouldn't have done that. Mm-hmm. But am I really able to go to Desmond and be like, babe, I am sorry. I shouldn't have done that. And I can count on my hands how many times I really did that.
How many times? Please count on your hand how many times.
None of your business. Anyways, if you don't remember, I ain't gonna tell you.
Exactly.
Anyways,
exactly.
But I'm not that wrong all the time. Anyways, like I was saying. But we had to put our pride aside in order to move on the relationship, because that grudge would then take place because they're like, well, I'm always apologizing. I'm always in fault. I'm always this. I'm always that. That we're always, we have this guard up. So when something else comes, about that's wrong, we have, we're defensive about it. So unless we have this full-on communication and are able to talk to each other without getting upset and put our pride aside and actually talk about the issue, we can't move forward. Or that same situation will occur over and over and over again. I also think when it comes down to being transparent with each other, we have to put, embarrassment away, not just pride. So if, lost train of thought. That's why I don't want to talk.
Nah, you fine. But why you finding your thought? When you was talking, a scripture came to mind, and I was looking for it while you were talking, and I'm reading in the New Living Translation, Proverbs 16 verse 18, and it says, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughtiness before a fall." So pretty much what that means to me is, if I'm so connected to my pride, eventually I'm headed for destruction.
Yeah.
If I want to hold on to always being the one that's right, or always being the individual that doesn't want to see it nobody else's way, or I have tunnel vision in regards to what needs to happen, and it needs to happen in my way. Eventually I'm headed for destruction, because the other saying is, 4 eyes are better than one, 4 arms are better than 2. And it's easier when you're able to see it from another direction as opposed to the way you see it, and then it says a haughtiness before a fall. So, I'm trying to stand up straight, and I'm trying to act like I'm perfect, but eventually I'm going to walk and I'm going to slip on something, or I'm going to trip on something, because my pride was so intact that I felt that I was too big or too better than anybody else to listen to where they're coming from. And I feel in your position, babe, you were right. We're gonna sit there and we're gonna what's the word? If we're gonna sit there and we're gonna talk to our children and ensure that our children see it a certain way, and we're not seeing it a certain way, it's like we're being hypocrites to our own family. Ministry is in the household. It starts in the home. So how can we go out and minister to other people and we ain't right?
So how am I telling Izzy and Melanie to say sorry and I can't say sorry, or you can't say sorry? That's
exactly.
We have to lead by example.
Exactly. And I mean, we joke about it, me always being the one saying sorry first, but there's been plenty of times where my wife has said sorry and I didn't even feel that she needed to say sorry. I just felt that we both were at a position where we kind of bumped heads and it was off something crazy. It was just off something so minute, and we just got into an argument, yelling. There was times we've yelled at each other. There was times where, she stormed off, I stormed off, but eventually, before that night was over, before we put head to rest, and that was something that we vowed to each other, whenever we have an argument or a slight disagreement or even an all-out brawl verbally, we will not go to sleep until we deal with it, and until we move past it. And there was a time where we got into it, and she stormed off and I was someplace, and we was walking through the house, and we were still talking, but it was like real cold. And eventually my wife came to me and she was just crying and she was like, "I'm so sorry." And I was sitting there like, "You didn't have to apologize because I felt it was my fault." And in those particular situations and scenarios, both of our prides were set aside. We both set our pride aside because we figured out what was more important. Was it more important for me to keep this grudge about something stupid or something minute now, but it was bigger to me then? Was it more important for me to keep that inside, or is it more important for me to set that aside and
really
figure out?
You really just got to choose your battles.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's choosing your battles, but at the same token, it's like, what's more important?
Yeah.
Is it important for me to feel ill toward my wife?
No.
Or is it important for me to deal with the situation?
I mean, we married forever, so.
I mean, yeah.
We can't be mad for long. I mean, you want a miserable life?
Well, listen.
Don't even.
I've seen and experienced marriages where you can be in a position for years miserable, and it's just unwanted, and it's not even a good space to be in, and regardless of how long you're married, or you say for better or worse, for richer or poor, but do we really understand what that means for better or for worse? And a lot of us, our worst can be an argument. Our worst can be how we respond after an argument. Our worst can be our pride.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Our worst can be our pride. And our better can be how we look at things through another angle. And you taught me that, babe. You taught me how to look at things through another angle because I was so fixated on how I saw things. Mm-hmm. Because I'm a very logical thinker. I'm very analytical. Everything has to be kind of cookie cut. I have to have plans. I'm not really, I just became spontaneous like, a year or two after we got married?
A little bit.
A little bit. I'm still working, but go ahead, babe. Go ahead.
I think there's several things I want to talk about, but we don't got that much time.
Well, it'll be part 3, and they'll have to come back for episode 3.
All right, stop it.
Go ahead.
When you were talking about that time when we was passing each other, I mean, there's several times, but there's this particularly last time. I was in this room, and I got so angry. And it was like I couldn't figure out why I was so angry or why, I was acting a certain way. And I was fighting on apologizing. So it really took me being in the fetal position, crying and saying, "God, take this away from me. Like, help me. Take this anger away. I can't take it. I can't be this way. Change me. Move me. Like, help." Wow. Because I don't want to feel this way. I got to the point where I wanted to start being violent on myself. And I didn't like being in that headspace. It was like the enemy really took that situation, changed it, and was like, "Oh no, you got to be mad at him because he don't understand you, and he don't want to do, he don't want to apologize." Wow. So I had to fight the enemy and let God take over that fight so it doesn't take over me. And that's when I got up and cried to you because I was like, I don't want to be this way. So I really had to expose myself in my feelings and how I felt and my tears, and just go to you and cry and say, I love you. I'm sorry. Whatever it is. I don't even know what it is. Just, I'm here.
Wow.
So, in that moment, I had to take my pride aside. I had to jump out of it before the enemy would have consumed it. And it would have been like that all day until you did something about it. And then my pride still would have been there because I didn't have to confront it.
Wow. And then it's crazy you say that too, because even in my situation, well, in that situation alone, let's just say, you did set your pride aside and you came to me, and you were crying and you were asking for forgiveness. And on my angle, I could have still been holding on to my pride of you being the wrong one. And then instead of me just giving you compassion, hugging you, and just loving on you, I could have been like, well, told you so. I told you it was your fault. You sitting there now you just got it. Now you gonna come with me. And that's the crazy thing about pride, is like pride can come from both angles. It can come from the person that understands how sorry they are, and then they want to come back to you and apologize. Or pride can come from the angle of the person that's being apologized to, and they can reciprocate either by saying, I love you back, my apologies as well. Or they can sit there and be like, well, I told you so. You know what I mean? Like, it took you how many hours to come apologize to me when I knew you was wrong. I told you was wrong, and you still sat there holding a grudge.
Or not even that way. You could be in a gentle way and was like, well, babe, this is why I tried to explain this, because this and that, and this and that, and you this, and you that, and you that. And, you could say it so gentle, but it could still come off really wrong. Right. It may, it's better than having that aggression, but it still hurts the same way because, you're not getting the same thing back. Yes, you're sorry. Yes, you love them. Yes, all this, but if you're not getting that same thing back, you're like, oh, God, it was my fault. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm by myself. But they don't see they're wrong, and they were wrong a little bit, maybe with one thing, and I was wrong with a lot, but we're still both wrong. So. Still both wrong. I'm going to slip away because Junior's crying. Nap time is over for him.
Well, you don't have to slip away, because at this particular time we're done, because one of our children is waking up and their nap time is over. Okay, so we want to thank you again. I am your host, Desmond Peacock. This is my lovely wife, my co-host, Jerica Peacock. Thank you again for tuning in for Conversations at Nap Time. We hope to see you again for episode 3 as we continue on with pride. See you again. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this on to someone else. Let somebody else know what we got going on. We love y'all. We're going to end in a quick word of prayer. Lord, we thank you again for what you're doing in our lives. We thank you again for another podcast. We thank you for reaching the masses, Lord. We ask that you continue to use us as vessels for your glory, to speak in transparency, but also in love and grace, as you did it and as you showed us through your Son, Jesus Christ. All these things we ask, pray, believe, and expect and receive in your matchless name. Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank y'all. Love y'all. Y'all take care.